Hey, just so you know, this video contains spoilers for Coco, so if you haven't seen Coco yet or want to see Coco, please go see. I love Coco. I feel like that's an important thing to say before we start this. I think Coco is one of the best films Pixar has created, with vibrant and stunning visuals that all strike you without overwhelming you. The music score is amazing and authentic, and combined with the vocals of Anthony Gonzalez and the cast, I found myself bouncing in my seat with each strum of the guitar. So honestly, I love this movie, and I will not shit on the little bit of representation I get in media. That being said, because I love this movie so much, I also think that it deserves a good critique, because there are things in this movie I wish were done better. And from what I recognize, this isn't a point a lot of the reviews I read at the time touched upon. So here we go. My one big problem with Coco is that music is the separation between Miguel and his family, and that love of music is what makes Miguel feel outcasted. And this, I feel, stems from the usage of music in general, which we can get a bit deeper into later, but if the writers were committed to the idea of utilizing music as the source of conflict, then it was not earned, because music is never seen in a genuine negative light throughout the movie. Yes, I understand that the Rivera family hates music. They make it a point to say it a lot that they hate music. But the movie isn't interested in showing that their hatred is sympathetic. In the beginning, Abuelita's hatred is mostly for comedy, both with the montage of her getting mad at the different forms of music and with a mariachi singer in the plaza. The scene is mostly meant to raise a laugh, mind you, not at Miguel, the one being antagonized, but the scene reads as the hysterical behavior of the Rivera family. And the two scenes that display the Rivera family's hatred for music only build sympathy for Miguel. These two scenes are when Abuelita destroys his guitar, and when Imelda admits her past love with Miguel in the alleyway. Other than that, it's a lot of Miguel saying or being told that his family hates music, without any strong showcases of how that hatred has persisted throughout these years, which would be fine if the movie didn't focus so much on the theme of being with your family. Because if we were to break down this whole conflict, it culminates into two problems. Miguel needs to learn to love his family, and the Rivera family needs to learn to accept Miguel's love for music. That's the whole point. That's the end of the movie. Miguel gets to keep playing music and stay part of his family. And the movie earns Miguel's acceptance because every big dramatic scene builds sympathy for Miguel. We, as the audience, see his love for music the very first time he's on screen, with the careful and loving animation put into every scene where he plays the guitar, closing his eyes and enveloping himself within music. And when that's taken away from him, he runs away, leaving us with only distaste for his family and sympathy for him. His love for music could not be downplayed. However, with the Rivera family, this is not the case. The film tells the audience through the opening narration why the Rivera family hates music so much. Because Mama Imelda's husband abandoned his family for music. A good place to start, but the hate never exceeds that reason. And we don't see any other manifestation of that hatred. It's always, don't play music because we hate music. I don't think this is a bad reason. This could be earned, but it is not. And that's because we never really see the lasting effects of that abandonment. No, I'm not talking about the family hating music. I'm talking about the effects that the abandonment had on the family. Like what that trauma of abandonment did to everyone. Because that's some sad subject matter, which, understanding the context and then the film pokes fun at with the scenes with Abuelita, it seems in poor taste. The film insults their own sense of drama by poking fun at it. And the whole conflict of the story revolves around this issue. Because Miguel can go home whenever, but we understand why, through the film's own work, we know why he's not going to compromise with his family. But that same work is not done with the Rivera family. Yes, we know they hate music, but why? And not just someone telling us why. Show us. I know that sounds basic, like it's a fundamental rule of storytelling. Show, don't tell. Well, Coco does a lot of telling with the Rivera family because it's an easy tell to hide. Most people understand that someone walking out on their family is bad, but Coco just uses that assumption of sympathy for them. Like, imagine if during the film, one of Miguel's relatives spoke to him about how sad their grandmother would get when they'd hear music. Not for laughs, but for a genuine beat of compassion that shows the music reminds them of some trauma. Or what if one of the family members also had an interest in music and chose not to use it for the same reason? But the key emotion driving the scene would be compassion, like the scene with Hector and Coco with the sepia and grainy filter, just done for the family. And the problem with this is because it makes the third act feel as if Miguel only changed his mind because De La Cruz turned out to be a murderer. Which, if you had to choose between a dream-crushing family and a murderer, I think the dream-crushing family wins. So when he drops the line, family comes first, it's like, what? No, the film has not earned that sentiment because all the writing up to this point focused on the conflict of the family not understanding Miguel and being cruel to him so we could feel sympathy and support his dreams. De La Cruz being a murderer doesn't change what happened to Miguel from either an ethical or even a writing standpoint. And I feel like this is when people say it's a kids movie, they can't go that deep. But Big Hero 6 built up its antagonist up while still exploring the causes of why they did all the bad things. Toy Story 3 has an equal amount of understanding about the villain's motivation. So I think saying that honestly just dismisses kid movies writing. I think good writing is still good writing, and people love those two movies. So no, I think this is an example of a movie done really well in execution, so it hides those hiccups, and because the movie still has that whole wholesome ending of everyone getting what they want. Which, sure, okay, that's cool. I think because the ending is the way it is, it makes you forget about all the things that came before it. But I don't think that excuses the film's weak writing, because the whole conflict of the story resides on Miguel's relationship to his family, which of course is difficult, especially when telling this kind of outcast story with the music as the centerpiece. I mentioned this earlier because I think it's worth pointing out. From a technical standpoint, anything in writing can be earned. If written well enough, music, love, or whatever can be the focal point of an outcast story. However, there's still the personal opinions of people entering the theater. And the problem of using music as the outcast label for Miguel is people love music. Music, though it may come in every flavor imaginable, is worldly popular. It's a mark of culture for so many diverse groups of people. So when people meet Miguel and his love for music is so blatant, so pure, and he's so good at it, then of course people will feel sympathy. Because nearly all audiences going in will love music. Then it makes you question why this is an outcast story. It's a problem I have with a lot of these. I'm different because of my interests. Note that this is an outcasted because of interest, not of something inherent. That's an important distinction to make. Because a lot of the time in these stories about someone who's outcasted for what they want, the film chooses something that people going in would already cheer for. Of course, people cheer for Miguel and his music, or Rudy and his football. These interests aren't something you need to convince the audiences to love. They aren't real outcasts, even within the realm of Miguel's story, save his family, who we already know about them. Everyone wants Miguel to play music. And maybe it's kind of a personal thing, because I grew up playing video games, one of my friends was really into anime, and another was a theater kid, and the last read comic books. I also know that these interests are now becoming cooler, and I'm not saying I want to see Miguel at EVO 2018. But something like that, something people actually look down upon. Because I do relate to family and something my hobbies, and that feeling showed through Miguel of just wanting your family to understand that. But unlike Miguel, I knew my family wasn't the only one looking down on my interests. And I think that's what I want to see, something that might even convince the audiences, or myself, to say, hey, I didn't know that, insert hobby here could make someone so happy, and walk away with a better opinion about a topic. Because Coco made me feel like, I'm glad the Rivera family finally came to their senses. Because that's what I think we need more of, more subversion and sympathy for people who want something different. Not just for what everyone views as acceptable. And once again, I love Coco. I will continue to love Coco, and that's why I want stories that tackle similar themes to build upon the foundation it's set. But that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Leave a like and a comment, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe. and I'll see you next time.